I grew up hearing it just the same as most Americans do. America is the greatest country on earth. At the dinner table, in classrooms, on the news, and in passing conversation. Said with the confidence of something self-evident, the way you say the sky is blue. But here's the thing. That phrase does something to you when you hear it your whole life, something you never quite know how to prepare for. It sets you up for an inevitable fall from grace. The moment that certainty collapses and you must rebuild your whole belief system. And now, the shift has taken hold. A new narrative is dominating and it's moving fast, especially among younger Americans. The previous narrative hasn't just been questioned, it's been inverted. America is no longer the hero of its own story in this telling. It's the villain, the oppressor, the imperialist. And this new story is spreading at rapid speed through media, through the algorithm, through the cultural air young people breathe every day, with the same certainty, the same refusal of nuance, and the same black or white thinking. What we're living through right now is not a correction. It's a pendulum that has swung from one extreme to the other. And most people haven't stopped to notice that both ends of that swing are doing the exact same thing. I've lived in Europe for 5 years now, and more broadly, off and on for 10 years, most recently in Spain. And that distance has given me something that I didn't have before, a comparison point, a lived daily experience of watching two unique societies solve the same human problems in different ways. Some things Spain does better. The pace of life is different in a way that is hard to explain unless you felt it. Meals are long and relaxed. Food is more often than not cooked at home. There's a cultural relationship with time that the United States, in its relentless productivity, has largely lost. And some things the United States does better in ways that don't make it into social media. Take healthcare. American expat content online has made Spanish universal healthcare into a kind of promised land. And there's something real there. Access matters and Spain provides it. But after 5 years living inside this system, I can tell you what those videos leave out. Basic tests that in the US would happen within days and weeks can take several months or up to half a year in Spain. The agency Americans have over their own medical care is a luxury most of us don't know we have because we were too busy being told what we don't have. In reality, Spain does some things better, and America does some things better. Both things can be true. We're watching two populist movements reshape American identity in real time, pulling from opposite poles. On one side, a level of nationalism that can scarcely hear real criticism. On the other, a rising sentiment among younger Americans that the country is defined primarily by its failures. A sentiment that has moved from critique into something closer to contempt. Both movements are loud, both are certain, and both are making the same cognitive error, just wearing different colors. Binary thinking is a drug. It simplifies a complicated world into something digestible. You know who you are, and you know who the enemy is. And you never have to sit with the discomfort of something being both good and broken at once. Here's what most people don't stop to examine. Both of these belief systems are propaganda, not in the loose, overused way that the word gets thrown around, but in the precise sense. Propaganda doesn't always require a government ministry or a state broadcaster. It just requires a message repeated at scale through enough channels for long enough until the belief stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like reality. Boomers were saturated in one version. Through Hollywood, through the election cycles, through the news, through the cultural air they breathed from childhood. The greatness of America wasn't presented as a perspective. It was presented as a fact of nature. And now, younger generations are receiving the precise inversion of that message through social media, through much of academia, through the content ecosystems they grew up inside. The story has flipped. America is not the hero. It's the oppressor, rotten to its core. The propagandistic architecture stayed exactly the same. Both systems take away your ability to trust your own experience. Because when the message is loud enough and repeated enough, propaganda is powerful enough to make you doubt your life before you doubt the message. You stop asking whether the story is true, and you start asking why your experience doesn't match it. The anti-American messaging saturating young Americans right now did not grow completely organically from their lived experience. It is messaging imported from somewhere else, adopted and amplified, and is doing to this generation what state-run media has done to people in countries like Cuba. It's teaching people to feel contempt for what they actually have before they've ever seen the alternative up close. Recently, I came across a video that I wish more people could see. 2 immigrants from Cuba, people who grew up inside a system that told them from childhood that America was the oppressor, that the United States was the source of their suffering, and that its power was pure malevolence, made a short video addressed directly to Americans. They said it better than I can.
They're lying to you. Back in Cuba, they didn't just teach history. They taught a fiction ghost story. They told us this country was the villain. They told us you were the imperialists, the oppressors, the heavy boot on our necks. They taught us to hate you before we even knew you. But you know what the funny thing is? I never thought the people most convinced by that lie would be you.
Flop or flop? America.
Flop.
Why?
Honestly, America is just a third world country and a Gucci belt.
Everything about this country makes my fucking stomach bubble the fuck up.
First day back in the U.S. and I'm over it.
If you have any family or friends who are MAGA, then they are evil.
Liberals really out here acting incredibly evil.
Yeah, so most of what we know about North Korea today is propaganda, and they are ultimately victims of Western imperialism that deserve our respect and consideration.
Here are 10 signs that you may have been indoctrinated by American capitalist propaganda.
We arrived here 5 years ago as a family with a heart open, expecting to find a nation that would be as patriotic as they say in the movies.
America, America.
But when Yoel and I arrived as a family, we weren't just crossing a border, we were being born again. For Yoel, life suddenly became a movie. The things he only saw through pirated screens. The simple magic of all of our firsts. Imagine going inside a store for the first time in your life that didn't have empty shelves. Well, this is Yoel. He's 36 years old, and he's about to do it right now.
Oh my god! Mentira!
Those things became his reality. He isn't watching a screen anymore, he's living in it. And for me, Mari, I became more grateful to be an American citizen than I have ever thought I could be. You see, we stepped outside the algorithms and we actually met you. We met Republicans, Democrats, the wealthy, and the struggling. We went looking for those evil Americans, but you want to know what? We only found a nation of the most welcoming, generous, and philanthropic people we've ever met in our lives. It breaks my heart when we turn on the news, and so much of it tells the opposite of that. We see the flags of other nations held high while yours is being burned in the streets. They don't speak for the millions of immigrants who look at that flag and see life itself, a dream. You say that the American dream is dead. We say that you're just standing too close to it to see it. But every time we do wake up and we realize we're free to succeed or fail on our own merit, and that dream is worth breathing. Please stop letting them convince you to destroy what we risked everything to find, what our families risked everything to find. This country is a miracle, and it's worth defending, even from itself. I am not just a guest here. Yoel is not just a guest here. We are witnesses, and we're very grateful. And for Yoel, he says he will spend the rest of his time earning the right to one day call himself an American. God bless the USA.
Of all the voices weighing in on America right now, theirs is one worth taking seriously. To young Americans, your frustration is real and it deserves to be acknowledged. The economic pressure bearing down on your generation is not imaginary. The American dream has gotten harder to reach. That grievance is legitimate. But here's what living in Spain has shown me. The exact same crisis is happening here, too. Spanish youth face the same walls around housing, the same precarious job market, and the same gap between what their parents had and what's available to them now. This is not a uniquely American failure. It's a global generational squeeze. The answer to that problem is not to conclude that America itself is the disease. America turns 250 years old this week. That's an extraordinary run for an experiment that was never supposed to work. A country built on an idea rather than an ethnicity, a bloodline, or a centuries-old claim to land. And yes, it has failed at times, repeatedly and badly throughout its history. But it also fought to keep the dream alive, despite every challenge and every wrong turn. That tension is not a flaw in the American story. It is the American story. You don't have to call it the greatest country on earth to love it. We don't love the people closest to us because they're the greatest humans on earth. We love them because they're ours. That's what those two Cubans understood, perhaps better than many Americans, that the United States of America can be both good and bad at once, but it's yours, and it's worth saving. If you enjoyed this monologue and you got any value out of my perspective, please head over to Substack and follow me there. All of this content lives there and you'll receive it much quicker. It's harder to break through these algorithms, so follow the link in my description. Follow me on Substack.